Anthropic just announced that their best model ever, Fable 5, is now back again for everybody to use, but there's a little bit of a caveat. You will only have access to this until July 7th, which last time I checked is in a couple of days, and so you have to make the most out of it right now over the next couple of days as you still have it. Now, the thing is, it will actually still be available after this date, but it'll be so much more expensive, matter of fact 20 to perhaps 100 times more expensive, that most people will not be able to use it. And so, the next couple of days, you better not sleep, you better not leave your freaking laptop or computer or whatever, and start using Fable 5. But then comes the question. With so many things to do, which things should you focus your Fable 5 tokens on right now? Because you can also only spend about 50% of your weekly usage limit on Fable 5, and well, that goes pretty quickly. So which exact things to focus on? Let's cover them right now. Now, you can find every single one of the guides we're going to be talking about today over in our free Skool, which will be linked below. But let me just quickly preface this by explaining a little bit about what Fable is all about and what makes it so special. So, it's Anthropic's best model that ever has gotten released to the public, and it got banned by the US government a couple of weeks ago. We've been anticipating the release back, And all of a sudden, on June 30th, the Commerce Department removed the restriction after some reviews. And if you want to get a little bit more into that, there was apparently some Amazon researchers that said they were able to find some sort of vulnerabilities that they were not able or supposed to find. Now, Anthropic themselves said that theoretically speaking, this could have all been found with Opus 4.8 as well. But regardless, they decided to ban it. And it's only now that we got it back. So how exactly you get there is just open your Claude, and in the list, pick Fable 5. It's really not that hard. So what exactly is it good for? It's for the harder tasks. So proper research, I'm going to call it personally, looking through documents, finding specific things you're looking for, but most importantly, making them or making the structure for something. I personally really think you should keep Fable 5, especially because of the massive drainage in terms of token cost for the deepest pieces of your work. I personally don't think long documents are something that comes across many people too often, but if you're trying to do something with a lot of context, a lot of moving parts, a very intrinsic document like a research document, these are the type of things where you call up Fable. If, like for my personal thing, you're working with trading strategies, well, to think out the actual strategy is really something you use Fable for. But then to just call up on some simple queries or just do some simple prompting, hey, rewrite this prompt, that type of stuff is way too overkill for Fable because you're not going to see that crazy a new result with Fable versus Opus, so I personally would not waste my tokens on it. But then again, thinking out your big build or making the real decisions, or if it's something that requires many different steps, these type of things you use Fable for. But I have a better guide, so let's quickly go through that. So here are the real 5 plays that I think every single person should be running before July 7th. Focus on these things, and if you've got tokens left, or if you've got the money left to buy multiple subscriptions, because afterwards it's going to get so crazy expensive, do these things first. If you want the full-on guide and to maybe take a screenshot or something like that, here you go. Here's the raw, no fluff type of way to put it down, which is if you've got Fable 5 right now, you've got access to it, make sure it does these things, and we'll cover them one by one, but I'm going to quickly go over it in a glimpse. The hard decision, the hostile audit, automations, the instructions rewrite, and playbooks. Now, what exactly that means, you can see on the right, but let's cover it piece by piece, right? So spend it first on things that persist, and this is stuff you should be going through before you even send a single prompt. And why I'm saying that you should actually read this through or think this through before you send anything is because you only have a set amount of tokens with Fable, and you have to understand, if you're asking it a simple one-liner, a one question, even though you really like the answer, most of the time that's going to be a waste. You really don't need anything that's like a one answer, small little reply, because that's really, for the most part, not going to last unless it's a crucial decision. So if, again, we're talking about these crucial decisions, well, that could be pretty good, but it's mostly in the form of thinking out a proper structure for something or a proper plan. And so if I had to give my personal opinion on this, bring it, if you have to give it one query, your hardest questions. What exactly is a 1% difference, for example, going to cost you a boatload? If this is the type of question you've got, ask it now, and ask it in this sort of way. And I've got it right here for you in a little simple form, in a way you could ask this to your own chat. Now, the one thing that we do know from Fable is that it's absolutely amazing, but also that it really can take you from making the wrong, or can hopefully prevent you from making the wrong choice. And how you do that, for example, is by letting it make a strong case for and a strong case against, because it's a lot less of a yes man than it used to be, or rather, if you tell it to use some against type of arguments, it can now way better do that. The point being here, if you have any hard decision and you can't really make your mind up, ask it Fable, because this one will save you a lot of headaches in the future. Now, have it attack your work. This is what I personally think is one of the things most people overlook, and it is critiquing what you've already done. What exactly can I do better? And these are the type of questions like, what is it that I do not know about the situation? That's, I believe, Sam Altman's favorite quote or favorite prompt. And if you remember, this is actually also the entirety of the reason that Fable got banned anyway, because it's just that good at finding vulnerabilities, it's just that good at finding cracks in your story, in your portfolio, in your pricing range, in your something of that sort. Let's say you have a trading strategy and it's doing right now within a certain frame, and you're asking, hey, critique this price frame that we've got right now. Why is it good? Why is it bad? We built it a certain way, but was that actually the right way to build it? These are the type of questions you really have to ask over the next couple of days, because if it's wrong, first of all, this could cost a lot, but also the actual execution of it you can do later. But to know the difference in strategy going forward is, of course, very important. Matter of fact, talking about things that can run into the future, let it build things that can run without you. If you've got any sort of task that you're doing repeatedly, and I always know this by asking my Claude, let's make a sort of scheme for what my day looks like. It tracks the time. I put in exactly what I did that day, that week, whatever. And now, because of that, it knows whether or not it can optimize things or automate things for me. Extremely useful. But more importantly, Fable is a lot better at making sure your automations are actually set in stone to run forever. Opus 4.8 was great, but Fable is another grade above it, and here's the kicker. Automations take back your time. If you've got more time, it's actually a lot easier to deal with slightly worse models, because at the end of the day, these AIs are meant to replace mostly the trivial tasks and hopefully in the end, the hard decisions that we just for some reason can't make. We all know that the most valuable thing in this world is time. If it's able to buy you some time back, theoretically speaking, that's the most expensive thing that it could do for you. Now, I also tell this to every single person that asks me about what the most important thing you can do with Fable is right now. This is the one that I would personally pick. It's make sure it rewrites every single thing that's in your core. And these could be a couple of different files, but the rundown of it is, Claude has been building logs for a long time. Claude has been building instructions for a long time. If you've been using this for a while, it's got some messed up folders, and I personally do this right now. First of all, let it clean up your structures. That does not mean it has to delete every single file. It just means if there's a ton of files in different folders, ask you to clean it up, not in the, hey, you know what, move all these files around. No, in building a proper structure for your files and your files going forward. So every single time your Claude now has to find something, you may already have Obsidian, you may already have all these different plugins that make sure the directory is logged in a proper way, whatever. It can always be done better and more efficiently going forward. So hopefully you spend less tokens in the future because of the way you're structuring it right now in the smartest of ways. But also, every single time you're calling upon a tool, every single time you're using plugins, how are you using them? Are the right roles being called? Are the right employees in your Claude being called? Are they not being called double? All those things can cost you a lot of tokens, but more importantly, they may be able to be done more efficiently, or you can again save back some time or save back some sort of memory. This is one thing that you need the highest level of intelligence for, because it compounds. You, over the next couple of months, will keep building more and more and more things. If your files, and this also means your instruction files, your how exactly do we do things. Remember, if you're going to start a new project, how does it know where to start? Claude knows it, sure. But does it have to figure it out every single time again and again and again? Or is there some sort of memory? That's why we all have a Claude MD file, but that's also why it builds sort of structural, helpful files and indexes over time to help with certain processes, right? We often call it skills that are being made, because you can literally make them. But again, are they making skills the right way? Because even though we have the skill maker skill, from Anthropic themselves, is that the way we want it to be for our specific situation? And even though we can call upon it, is the way that we structured inside of that skill actually the most efficient? These are the type of things that will last you many months, many years, and it's worth it to give it one prompt to see if it was all done well, because again, they're structural plays. Now, play number 5 here is turn what it knows into documents that you keep. This is one thing that goes over almost everybody's head. I've had so many discussions about Fable 5 and what to do with it, and nobody once has talked about this one, so I personally consider this to be a really nice, beautiful hidden gem. And that is that every single thing it's doing, thinking about right now, you make sure that it's logged in proper documents. And why? If you're making new sets of rules and you go later on back to like lower forms of intelligence, like Opus 4.8, for example, even though it knows the rules that you set in place, over time, it may start to tweak them, break them apart, because it thinks another way of doing business is better. If you make sure that whatever decisions Fable has made are set in stone, logged somewhere so you can always refer back to them in case things are changed over time. And sure, you may have all these little intermediary stops. I personally have it so my Claude is backed up to a very big extent, and so other files can't be touched while other files are being used, meaning you actually like just source from this instead of adding to it. The thing is, Claude may make mistakes though, or it may just think that this is something that you want. Maybe you say, let's rethink the strategy, right? Just that's a prompt you give it. But it actually turns out that you're now changing Fable's strategy into something Opus 4.8 thinks is better, which in turn is actually worse, but it just does not know, right? But Fable decided this was best. So make sure you put inside of your code that Fable's rules, let's call it, are key. And again, it does not have to be a literal document, but you have to set in stone that Fable and whatever Fable came up with is now the way to go forward, unless there's a very strong bias for this new sort of way, this new sort of method, this new sort of addition. But that's again why the structure is so important, because from that going on forward, you can every single time look back at the structure that Fable now created to see if one of these new plays is actually even better at all. And again, I want to remind you all, the most important thing you can do right now have to do with structure, do not have to do with making sure your emails are actually done a bit quicker or they look a bit nicer. These are all fluff type of things, right? If you right now are using Fable for going through your emails, I applaud you from having such big amounts of tokens. That's pretty freaking cool. But most of the stuff that's you going back and forth with a chat box or stuff that is important for today and tomorrow, but not really for the next couple of months, are things you can kind of wait on. Obviously, if it's like a really crucial decision for your business, yeah, go ahead. But if we're talking about the structure that will work for most people, it's the fundamentals, things that will last you the next couple of weeks and months or so. Because remember, these are the mistakes that can cost you so much over time. Maybe not much today, but so much over time. But more importantly, make your processes more efficient. So all the stuff, just think about it. All the stuff you're fixing right now, you don't have to do in the future for 10 times, 20 times, or 100 times the price. And matter of fact, it could be multiple times of that or multiples of that, because let's just say right now you're using Fable on API credits, right? Or on these usage credits. It's 20 to 100 times more expensive than the subscription. If you're doing it right now, let's just say it's 20 to 100 times more. If you're doing it in the future, maybe the buildup will be so much worse because you'll be using an inferior system for such a long while that the amount of tokens is also double. And so instead of just being 20 to 100 times more expensive, it's now 40 to 200 times more expensive, if that makes any sense. Anyway, these are the most important things I really think most people should be going through right now. Run them in this order. Play number 1, the decision. Then number 2, the hostile review. 3 and 4, basically the same thing. 1 task, 1 rewrite. Both keep paying after the model swap. And then a 1 playbook interview for the process you least want to explain twice. And again, if that the last part doesn't make a lot of sense, look at the sample prompt that I gave you here. Interview me about how I do a process. 1 question at a time. When you have enough, write the complete step-by-step playbook so a new hire or a weaker AI could run the process without me. Include the judgment calls, what good looks like at each step, the common mistakes, and when to stop and ask me. This will save you so much time. This is the best thing you can do right now. And all I can say is, If you want to find that document for yourself, join our free Skool. It's linked below. It's absolutely 100% free, and you're able to join it right now to check out these docs. I'll post them both in there so you can take the prompts, take whatever. And of course, make sure you press the like button on this video if you did enjoy it. But I post about AI almost every single day. I try to post every single day. And especially if you guys press that like button, I'll be back more tomorrow with a lot of tips because we only have a couple of days, and I kind of don't want to take my time away from Fable to talk here on camera, but I mean, these things are so important, I have to.